Well, folks, when I say that the media are hot garbage, I mean they are flamingly hot dumpster fire garbage. Over in the Middle East, Hamas's friends in the press have now hit upon a new strategy. They're now claiming that Israel is targeting journalists. According to the Washington Post, quote, for weeks, hundreds of locally based journalists in the Gaza Strip have provided the world with intimate views of the devastation on Palestinian lives and homes while trying to find ways to survive themselves and keep their families safe. Yes, we are told journalists in Gaza are under assault, and it's the journalists who are telling us this. But there is another story here. It's another far more nefarious story. And here's the real story. It goes like this. Journalists in the Gaza Strip are typically propagandists for Hamas. That's how they got in. That's why they've been allowed to operate. Hamas deliberately places these pseudo-journalists in areas designed to shield Hamas military resources. That's how it goes over there. Yesterday, Honest Reporting, which is a 501c3 website dedicated to uncovering prejudice in journalism, ran a pretty damn shocking story. They reported that during the October 7th massacre of 1,400 Israelis and the kidnapping of another 240, Gaza-based photojournalists working for the Associated Press and Reuters, so-called stringers for the major wire service, were present. A stringer is an independent contractor, a person who sort of on an individual case-by-case basis is used as a person who does journalism for a particular journalistic outlet. That presence could only have occurred with prior coordination with Hamas. So you had, quote-unquote, journalists who are actually just members, adjunct members of Hamas, taking photos of atrocities, and then the AP and Reuters and CNN all using them as quote-unquote journalists. As Honest Reporting says, 4 names appear on AP's photo credits from the Israel-Gaza border area on October 7th. Hassan Esleya, Youssef Massoud, Ali Mahmoud, and Khatem Ali. Here's a picture of one of them, Hassan Esleya. As you can see, he is being kissed by an elderly gentleman. That elderly gentleman is Yahya Sinwar. He is the military leader of Hamas, and he is the mastermind behind October 7th. This is a journalist for CNN. It's a person that CNN decided was actually good, right? CNN decided they would pay this person for his footage. Footage also shows Esleya standing in front of a burning tank during October 7th. As you can see, he's wearing no press vest, no press marking of any sort. He's not a member of the press. He is a Hamas fellow traveler. And he's taking video of it, just like a Hamas member would. They all had GoPros on, right? Here he is, in the middle of the Hamas massacre. This is a journalist. This is a person that CNN calls a stringer journalist for CNN. CNN, when they were informed that they had apparently hired Yahya Sinwar's best friend, released the following statement, quote, while we have not at this time found reason to doubt the journalistic accuracy of the work he has done for us, we have decided to suspend all ties with him. No reason to doubt his journalistic accuracy. I mean, other than the fact that he is, a terrorist supporter and all, and literally had to know, by the way, that the terror attack was going to happen. Otherwise, why was he there? Journalists don't just stand around on the Gaza border. The only reason, quote unquote, journalists are there is because they're in league with Hamas. If there is a surprise attack on a particular site and journalists are there, it's because the journalists knew about that in advance. The other 3 pseudo-journalists were there as well, prepared to take pictures of Hamas's atrocities. Let us talk about, again, your sleep quality. The fact is poor sleep causes weight gain, mood issues, poor mental health, lower productivity. Sleep is the foundation of our mental and physical health and performance. Having a consistent nighttime routine is non-negotiable. If you're struggling with sleep, you need to check out Beam. Beam's top-selling Beam Dream has a brand new formula. Dream contains a powerful all-natural blend of reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, and apigenin to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up refreshed. Just mix Beam Dream into hot water or milk, stir or froth, and enjoy before bedtime. Today, my listeners get a special discount on Beam's Dream Powder, their best-selling healthy hot cocoa for sleep with no added sugar. Now available in delicious flavors like cinnamon cocoa, chocolate peanut butter, mint chip. Better sleep has never tasted better. Beam sent product down to the office. A lot of my producers have been using Beam to get their sleep, and it's working because you can see the effectiveness of this show. If you want to try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder, get up to 40% off for a limited time when you go to shopbeam.com/Ben. Use code Ben at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/Ben. Use code Ben for up to 40% off. That's shopbeam.com/Ben. There's a lot at stake this November, so don't be a chicken and shop at the grocery store like usual. Instead, head on over to Good Ranchers. Their Black Friday Your Way sale is live. It's something you don't want to miss. Yes, they have great meat puns, but they have even better meat. This November, you get to choose your favorite meat to get free for a year. Pick a year of free steak, salmon, chicken, or bacon when you subscribe to any box right now. Better yet, when you subscribe to any box on goodranchers.com, you not only get a free gift of meat worth up to $480, you also get $15 off with code Shapiro. The only big deal your grocery store has is on expiring foods, so ditch the meat aisle and subscribe at goodranchers.com today. They actually sent me a custom box filled with kosher salmon, and it was indeed delicious. Claiming your year of free meat $15 off, free shipping with my code Shapiro at goodranchers.com. Good Ranchers is the #1 place to get all American beef, pork, chicken, and seafood. That is promo code Shapiro at goodranchers.com. Good Ranchers is indeed American meat delivered. It's a fantastic deal. Again, a year of free meat, $15 off, free shipping with my code Shapiro at goodranchers.com. The world's best meat at an amazing price. Goodranchers.com, and use promo code Shapiro. Now, this unfortunately is nothing new. The quote-unquote journalists stationed in Gaza either worked directly for Hamas or under the thumb of Hamas. All the way back in 2014, the Times of Israel reported that journalists had been questioned and threatened by Hamas. Photographers who took pictures Hamas didn't like had their cameras confiscated and were kicked out of the Gaza Strip. The Washington Post reported in the same year that Al-Shifa Hospital had, quote, become a de facto headquarters for Hamas leaders who can be seen in the hallways and offices. The Middle East correspondent for the Wall Street Journal actually wrote on Twitter at the time that Hamas used Al-Shifa as a safe place to see media, but then they inexplicably removed the post. When I say inexplicably, we know exactly why they removed the post. If the post had remained, they would have been kicked out of the Gaza Strip. One French reporter printed a story about being threatened by Hamas and then had to remove the story for his own safety. Now these reporters are all claiming that if Israel hits the Al-Shifa hospital, it's not a military site, despite the fact they have all reported over the course of a decade that this is in fact a military site used as a prop front by Hamas. So when you see journalism from the Gaza Strip, just understand there are no free journalists in Gaza. Either the journalists are living under Hamas's thumb and doing their work, or they work directly with Hamas. As one Spanish reporter said, quote, we saw the Hamas men hiding behind civilians, but had we dared point the cameras at them, they would have opened fire at us and killed us. So here's a big question for you. Would, quote unquote, journalistic outlets like the AP and Reuters use stringers associated with, say, white supremacist groups in order to take pictures at Charlottesville? Let's say that there were a KKK fellow traveler who showed up at that big march in Charlottesville taking pictures. Would the AP have just used him as a stringer? Or are they only willing to use stringers who associate openly with terrorists and voice their support for Hitler so long as they hate Jews and are Islamic radicals? What moral culpability do the AP and Reuters and CNN bear for printing the propaganda of Hamas and its minions? The answer is they bear an awful lot of responsibility. They are making the world a lot more dangerous. They are promoting Hamas's propaganda, and that, of course, is prolonging the war. As usual, that reality is obscured via projection. So, it is Hamas threatening journalists, but we're supposed to believe that it's Israel threatening journalists. Projection is the name of the game in this conflict. Always. It's why we see idiots or moral perverts playing silly semantic games obviously meant to tar Israel with the crimes of its enemies. We see morons making vague statements about opposing genocide from all sides, which is a bit like saying after you watch O.J. Simpson butcher his ex-wife, and then you watch the police arrest him, that you are against violence from both O.J. Simpson and the police on all sides. You got to watch out for that cruel, horrific violence. Only one side in this conflict is pursuing genocide. It is not Israel. Any implication to the contrary is either idiocy or evil. It's why we see idiots or moral perverts attempting to deflect from Hamas's crimes with talk about Israel's treatment of Arabs in Israel, despite the fact that 20% of Israel's population is Arab, that any Jew who wanders into Gaza or Jenin will be summarily murdered. It's why we see idiots or moral perverts pointing to civilian casualties in Gaza and murdered civilians in Israeli villages and pretending that these are somehow exactly the same thing. The value of every human life is absolutely infinite. That does not mean that the causes of every death are equivalent. For Israel's enemies and for Hamas's most ardent advocates, every single thing is projection. And the press are certainly Israel's enemies, which is why they will hire supposed journalists who work directly with and for Hamas. Are you tired of the lies and the twists of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.